So again, as today, I would like to start with a short generating good intention, motivation for being here. And before that, we try to watch the breath mindfully for a few moments so we can settle down our mind. Then we can try to contemplate as long as our mind is not free from those disturbing negative emotions, such as anger, attachment, ignorance, jealousy, selfish attitude, so forth. It's hard to find inner peace, satisfaction, and joy, no matter how good the external conditions are. We can try to improve external conditions, and we might be able to improve those external conditions continuously. But due to one of those disturbing emotions arising, and if our mind is disturbed, agitated by that, in that moment, there's no real peace, joy, happiness. When the external conditions are good. And it's nothing complicated in philosophy, it's our experience, our everyday experience. On the other hand, when we have less of those negative emotions, and when they are not arising, instead, when we have positive state of mind, such as patience, true compassion, wisdom, sense of contentment, so forth. Even when the external conditions are not so great, good, still one can find inner peace, joy, happiness. So it is quite clear whether we have peace inside, whether we have inner sense of true joy, happiness or not. It depends on our state of mind more than anything else. Therefore, taking care of our mind, training our mind, become the most important, crucial for our own happiness and for the happiness of others. For our own peace and for the peace of others. Therefore, I must put more effort, energy, find more time to focus on my mind. Taking care of my mind. Training the mind. Through practice, meditations, contemplations. For that very reasons, I'm going to listen, continue to learn, study. And not only learn, study, but whatever we learn and study, trying to put into practice as much as possible. The more subdued our mind is, the more enlightened our mind is, the more we are able to help and benefit other sentient beings as well. Therefore, in order to free oneself and all sentient beings from all the suffering and cause of suffering, and to lead to ultimate happiness, I must achieve my highest potential, fully awakened state. And in order to achieve that fully awakened state, I must engage in the Bodhisattva path practices. In order to practice, I must continue to study, learn. Therefore, I'm going to listen. Not only listen and learn, but trying to integrate and practice as much as possible. Okay, so if we can share that. 사시베기 조심에도 다마리아리시 니데게 바디 성계신도 이데오와 누구나마다신 제발쇼 이담구를 나면달라가니야타야. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merit of listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit as my greater being. Sangye chedan zoge chonam la chanchu padu dane kyabso che dagi sheshe gibe sonam bi dola penche sangye dupa sangye chedan zoge chonam la chanchu padu dane kyabso che dagi sheshe gibe sonam bi dola penche sangye dupa. So, welcome everyone, and again, thank you very much for joining today. And as you know, we have been studying the Shantideva's Guides to Both Way of Life, and we're in chapter 8, the chapter of meditations. And within that chapter, last year we finished up to verse number 88, where Shantideva explained about how to create a conducive condition, external and internal conducive condition for the, best environment for the meditations, and so, and of course, especially the focus is on creating the internal conducive conditions by having less distractions. And especially a lot of distractions are driven by a lot of attachments and so on. And so in relation to that. And then from today, we continue from verse number 89. And here, in this chapter, the object or the subject of the meditations is the bodhicitta mind. And of course, meditations, there are contemplative analytical meditation and non-contemplative analytical meditation. Here, the meditation is contemplative analytical meditations on bodhicitta. So the object of the meditation is the bodhicitta. Okay. So therefore, if we go to the verse number 89, where it says, having in such way this thought about the excellence of solitude, I should completely pacify distorted conceptions, all the distractions, mind, and meditate on awakening mind. And then one should meditate on this awakening mind of bodhicitta. Okay. So when we talk about bodhicitta, what is bodhicitta? And so again, Bodhi meaning awakening or enlightened state. Chitta means the mind of awakening, the mind of enlightenment. And what it means is, the mind that is induced by the strong, unconditional, unbiased, true love and compassion. Due to that strong, unconditional, unbiased love and compassion, you have this strong desire or strong wish to help and benefit sentient beings. Not only help them, to help them in the best way, and to help them to free from the suffering, not temporarily, but to free them from the suffering permanently, as well as the cause of all those sufferings. And not only helping them temporary happiness, but cultivating strong wish to help them to achieve ultimate happiness, true lasting ultimate happiness. So through training on that unconditional, unbiased love and compassion, you have that strong wish to do that. And then when you look at your own situation at the moment, you yourself are in their similar situation like themselves. And therefore, when you are in that kind of situation, you're in the same situation, you will not be able to help them to achieve what you want them to achieve. And therefore, you realize, that you need to achieve your own highest potential, the fully awakened state. Until you are able to achieve fully awakened state, you cannot be able to help benefit the way you want to help benefit. You can still help and benefit them, but in a limited way, very limited way and in small ways. But if you want to help benefit all sentient beings limitlessly in the best way, then you come to understand that you need to achieve that fully awakened state, your highest potential. And so the wish to achieve that fully awakened state arises very strongly. And that wish to achieve that fully awakened state so that you can be greatest help and benefit to each and every sentient being limitlessly. That mind, the wish to achieve that fully awakened state, fully enlightened state, so that you can be greatest benefit to each and every sentient being, that mind is called Bodhisattva mind. Okay? That mind is called Bodhisattva mind. And of course, that mind at the very beginning, when we put effort in our meditation practice, we feel that little bit, But when we don't meditate, when we don't put effort, then we don't feel naturally all the time. But as practitioners, continue to practice, meditate, and as they get better and better in their meditation practice, as they improve, then you reach a point where you have that strong wish to achieve that fully awakened state, driven by that, unconditional, unbiased love and compassion, that wish to achieve enlightenment spontaneously, effortlessly, day and night, then that is what we call having the Bodhisattva realizations. And when you have that Bodhisattva realization, then that person becomes Bodhisattvas. So when do someone become true Bodhisattva? Of course, we are aspiring to be Bodhisattvas at the moment, and therefore we are practicing. But someone become Bodhisattva when have that Bodhisattva realizations. And what does that Bodhisattva realization means is not like having those feeling, the wish to achieve sometime, once a while, or when you put effort, meditate, we feel that, but normally we don't feel. It's not like that, but when you have that mind effortlessly, naturally, spontaneously, day and night. That is what we call the Bodhi realization. And in order to reach that kind of effortless state where it becomes natural, spontaneous, at the very beginning, we need to practice with effort. And that is the way we're trying, meditating by using different contemplation, meditation is to, so that with that effort and slowly, it be required less and less effort. Slowly, that mind arises more and more often and gradually, all the time, effortlessly. And that is where we want to. And in order to cultivate the Bodhisattva mind, then you find, mainly in Buddhist scriptures, two main meditation technique. One is called as, 7 point of cause and effect. That has been passed from Buddha Shakyamuni to Maitreya to Asanga, and until now, from one teacher and practitioner to another. So those 7 point of cause and effect, I will just mention without going any details. First, in both meditation, you start with the equanimity, because without that equanimity, then your love, compassion become bias. You can feel love, compassion for some, but you cannot feel for everyone's. And it's hard to feel for not everyone, but it becomes very hard to feel for those who are cruel and mean and who are, very hurtful and harmful. So to be able to feel the love and compassion equally, unbiased to each and every sentient beings, then starting with the equanimity become very important. So that is where the meditation starts. And the actual 7 point itself, first is, recognizing all sentient beings as being mother. Second is remember the kindness of the mother. Third is cultivating the wish to repay the kindness. The fourth is cultivating the, loving kindness. Fifth is cultivating the compassions, great compassions. Sixth is cultivating the special thoughts or special attitude, laksham. And then 7 is the Bodhisattva mind, the result. The first 6 are the cause that lead to Bodhisattva mind. The 7 is the result, the Bodhisattva mind. So that is one method you find of meditations technique, And then other one is what is known as equalizing and exchanging self with others, the method of equalizing and exchanging self with others, And that method has been, again, passed through Buddha Shakyamuni to Manjushri to Nagarjuna, Shantideva, and so forth. So here, the main meditation on Bodhisattva is that second technique of equalizing exchange self with others. The focus is that. Here it focused that. In Asangas and Maitreya's writing, then you find the other method more focus, more detailed explanations. Here is equalizing, exchanging self with others. And it is His Holiness Dalai Lama and all other masters, have mentioned that by using any of those methods of the meditation, one can be able to develop true authentic Bodhisattva mind. Bodhisattva mind, yeah. Either by following the exchanging self with the other method, or either by following the 7 point of cause and effect. Some people can relate more strongly with the equalizing and exchanging self with others, and some people might be able to relate more with the other method, which is the 7-point of cause and effect. So it depends on individuals, some can relate more those two different things, and some might find 7-point of cause and effect more powerful, and some other might find equalizing, exchanging self with others more powerful. So it depends on individual which one they can relate more, which one they find more powerful. Then one can use that particular technique of meditation to develop the Bodhisattva mind. Of course, in order to relate and powerful of the 7-point of cause and effect, then the practitioner should have some understanding and convictions in the many lifetimes. If you don't have that understanding and conviction in many lifetimes, then that method might be a little bit challenging to relate and to be powerful in their practice, But someone who has a strong understanding, a strong conviction in many lifetimes, then they might be able to find that method even more powerful. One could find even more powerful and even more relatable. So again, it depends. And whereas equalizing, exchanging self with others, that particular meditation method, to use that and to feel powerful, to become a very powerful tools to develop Bodhisattva mind and to relate with, then one does not need to have an understanding or convictions or faith in many lifetimes. Even without that, one can be able to use that. So in that cases, for many, they might find this more powerful, and relatable, So anyway, so that is so here so in terms of equalizing, exchanging self with others in that method, again, it starts with equanimity as the foundations, as with the others, and then there are 5 points of meditations. Equalizing self with others, that is the first point, and we'll go to each point. Equalizing self with others, and second point is contemplating on the shortcoming, disadvantage, and the fault of selfish attitude from many different point of views. And third point is contemplating and meditating on the benefit and advantage of the cherishing thought for others from many different point of view, from many different angles, as many as possible. And the fourth point is the actual practice of exchanging self with others. And the fifth point is the practice of tonglen, taking and giving, by using the breath as the vehicles. So the practice of tonglen, or taking and giving. So those are the 5 points in this particular technique of equalizing and exchanging self with others. Okay, so we will go through each of those points by following the Shantideva route. So then it starts with the first point. Of course, here it doesn't start with the equanimity, because that is already kind of, it's already the foundation that you already based on that, and the actual 5 point of meditation itself. So the first point, equalizing self with others. Here it starts verse number 90. First of all, I should make an effort to meditate upon the equality between self and others. I should protect all beings as I do myself, because we are all equal in wanting pleasure and not wanting pain. So that is the first meditations. The first meditations here is we have to put an effort to contemplate and meditate on that. That just as, innately we want to be happy and do not want sufferings. We want to be happy all the time, and we want to be more and more happy. We want to have not only happiness, but we want to have greater level of happiness, even more happiness, better happiness all the time. And we do not wish suffering, pain, even for a moment, even is a very small, the suffering, even is very small pain, even is very small discomfort, we do not wish, we do not want. Not only we do not wish, even it is a very small pain, discomfort, we don't want even for one time, even for 1 second. And that wish we have, naturally, innately, So here, in the same way, if we really contemplate and think deeply, each and every sentient being, including those whom we dislike, including with whom we have differences, including who are not nice, kind, who are mean, all of them, all sentient beings, just like ourselves, want to be happy. And they do not want pain, just like ourselves. On that level, we all are equal. So this feeling that me and others, including whom we have differences, that we are no different, we are same on that fundamental level. On that fundamental level, that we all are same and equal, that we all want to be happy, do not want suffering, even for a second. And this first point is very important meditation. Intellectually, I think maybe we can all kind of seems to agree, we all says, yes, we all want happy and do not want suffering. We understand that. But in terms of feeling, we cannot feel that, And so that is you try to meditate on this point again and again and again until you started to really feel that everyone, myself and everyone, is same and equal in this fundamental level, on that fundamental level. So that is what it means, equalizing self with others. That is what it means by equalizing self with others, meaning that we all are equal. Yourself and others and yourself are equal or same on that fundamental level. There's no differences on that fundamental level. There's no differences, and so so that is so then okay. Although there are many parts, verse number 91. although there are many different parts and aspects of our bodies, such as hands, hands, feet, head, all different parts. As a body, that is to be protected as they are one. So since they all are part of even the hands and the feet, the head, your body, even though they all are not same, they are different, but they all are part of one body. Because they are all part of the same body, therefore you have to protect all of them in order to protect the bodies, and so likewise, all the different sentient beings in their pleasure and their pain have wish to be happy. That is same as mine. So therefore, similarly, even though there are different sentient beings, the differences, let's say, external differences. Some are chubby, some are skinny, some are tall, some are short, some have brown color, white, black, differences in those. Some are rich, some are poor, some are educated, some are not educated or less educated, some are healthy, some are unhealthy, some are powerful, some are powerless. There's all some believe in spiritual or religion, some doesn't believe in that. And even in a religion, many of them have different religions, belief. Even in politics, we have different views on in politics. So there is differences on that, just like different part of the bodies. But just as each part of them is part of the same body, in same way, we all are part of one humanity. We all are part of one families of humanity. And if you go beyond that, from Buddhist point of view, we all are part of one family of sentient beings. We all are part of one family of sentient beings. So therefore, in order to protect this one body of the families of humanity and sentient beings, then you have to protect all of them. Even though there is differences, because they're all a part of your one family. Your one families of humanity. If you go beyond that, one family of these whole sentient beings. And so therefore, just as you cannot ignore one part of the body from being sick or pain, if you find one part of the body, then you try to heal that one part of the body. Same way, here is saying, that, and we are same part of same families, because we all, just like ourselves, including all sentient beings, we all want to be happy and do not want sufferings. We all want to be happy and do not want suffering. We all have the same fundamental goal. We all are driven by that same fundamental goal, and we all are trying to achieve that goal, all in same way, towards that same goal. So here, normally we focus too much on the differences. And by focusing too much on those differences, then it creates divisions. It creates distance between us and them, between me and you. So all this, why do we feel so distant with some? Why do we feel gap, distant with that? Why can't we feel so close? Because our minds focus on the differences. Oh, he looks different. She looks different. Oh, he or she believe different. Oh, he or she have different political view. Oh, he or she has a different religions. Oh, he or she is rich or poor. Or he or she is not educated or educated. Or he or she's come from that place, this place. Or he or she support that or this. So all these differences, our mind get caught up in those differences. And by focusing on those differences, then we create sense of divisions, gap, distant. And therefore, it makes us difficult to feel love and compassion, toward them. It becomes very difficult to feel dear and close to us, and thereby become very difficult to feel love and compassion. That is one. So in these meditations, we don't focus on those differences. In meditations, we focus on the equalness, the oneness, on that fundamental level that we all are same and equal. We all are same and equal, wanting to be happy and not want suffering. So that is the main focus of meditation here. On the differences, you don't have to meditate. Your mind just go there automatically. You see someone behaving some way, you see someone speaking in a certain way, you see someone behaving in a certain attitude, or in different ways, and you already started to feel, oh, they are different from me. Or they are different from us. Or he or she is different from us. Or he or she has a different view, different idea, different, all these things. Our mind gets, without putting any effort, our minds naturally kind of notice that, and our mind is attracted in that naturally. But our mind is not attracted and naturally see that we all are equal and same. We don't feel that way. And so here we have to put a lot of effort to feel that way, to see and to feel that way. To see, to understand, to feel that way, we have to put a lot of effort in our practice, in our meditation. Constantly trying to think the person that I dislike at the moment, the person I hate at the moment, the person's, not only all sentiments, especially focusing on the persons or the people or other beings that we have strong dislike, strong, aversions, maybe even anger, whatever we have, especially those, trying to really feel that person is not different from me. That person just want to be happy, just like myself. That person do not want suffering, just like myself. That person is not different from me on that fundamental level, on that basic level, on that, fundamental nature level. All these differences are that something that come later, that those differences are shaped by, some of them from our DNA, some of them from our schoolings, our friends, environment, due to all influence of many conditions in our life later, then we started to have those differences, But at the very beginning of our life, when we started as a child, small child beginning, we don't have most of those feelings, views. But from the very birth, without being taught, even our parents not teaching us to be happy and not to suffer, we have that innate wish to be happy and not to suffer. Whether we might be able to, the child cannot be able to put that in the words, but in their mind, that is, so therefore anything that brings them pain, they try to avoid that. They try to express that by crying, by showing different expressions. That is something bothering them. That is something they don't want because it's painful. And whatever give them happiness, make them happy, again, through expressions, whatever way they can, they try to communicate to say that they want that. They want that because they know that give them happiness, that make them happy. So without being taught by the parent, they have that innate, is born with that. That innate, that is innate nature, that is born with that fundamental nature. That on that fundamental, that innate, that basic nature, that we all are same and equal. And that is where the focus in this meditation is, to really feel it. If you can really feel that, then you will have less feeling of less distance and less gap, less division with others. At the moment, we cannot do because we cannot feel that we are equal and same in that level. We cannot really feel that we are same and equal in that fundamental level. So that is where this meditation comes. In verse number, next one, 92, And then sometimes a thought might arise in mind, Why should I protect them from others from sufferings? Why should I work for the happiness of them? Because their suffering does not hurt me. Why should I do that? Their happiness doesn't give me joy, happiness myself. So why should I try to, protect or relieve others' sufferings? And, so in relation to that, he said, the suffering that I experience does not cause others to harm. And in same way, my suffering does not harm, or my sufferings, the suffering that I experience, is not experienced by others, Even though the sufferings of your suffering is not experienced by others as a pain, so just as the suffering that you experience pain, even though others might not experience that pain, but the suffering is mine because we suffer when we are suffering ourselves because of my conceptions of myself or I. Thereby it becomes unbearable. The reason why the suffering when we experience become unbearable, and therefore the wish to protect from that, therefore the wish to relieve from that pain and sufferings, and therefore trying to put effort to protect and relieve from that suffering, is because even though that suffering is not experienced by everyone, you experience, others are not experiencing, but because why we experience it, because we have this strong, grasping of self or I or me in relation to ourselves. And because that strong grasping to that self, therefore when something happens, unpleasant something happens, we experience sufferings. So then that taking as an example, then you use that likewise here. So here is a likewise, the miseries of others, the pain of others does not befall me, even though you do not experience. let's say someone is having a physical pain, okay? Someone physical pain, you do not feel your physical pain. You don't feel that pain on yourself, you know? And so therefore we might think, so therefore why should I care about it? You know? So then here to counter that kind of wrong view, you know, sometimes that kind of view or thoughts can stop us from trying to help someone to protect from sufferings, trying to we can become indifferent to others' pain and sufferings because we think, oh, is their suffering? It doesn't really hurt me. It's not my suffering. It's not my pain. It's their pain. And therefore, you know, why should I care about it? You know, so that kind of thought could arise. You know, so to counter that kind of thoughts that make you indifferent and that make you not concerned and caring for others' pain and suffering, to counter that, then here, nevertheless, by conceiving others as I, their suffering become mine, therefore I too should be hard to bear. And so if you train your mind to cherish others just as you cherish yourself, then even the other's sufferings you will feel unbearable, just as you feel your suffering unbearable at the moment. At the moment, we are unable to feel others' suffering unbearable because we don't cherish them. And we feel our suffering unbearable because we cherish ourselves. But if we train our mind to cherish others just as we cherish ourselves, then their suffering also become unbearable, just as our suffering become unbearable at the moment. And if you feel their suffering unbearable, then you will act. You can't become an indifference. You will not become an indifference, you know, because it's unbearable. And so therefore you will not become indifference and not concerned, but you will become concerned and you will try to, you know, protect whatever way is possible, if there is a way to protect it. If there is a way to release from that pain, you will try to release from that pain and suffering, whatever you can. So again, yeah. Therefore, next verse, hence I should despair the misery of others because it is suffering, just like my own. Therefore, it doesn't matter as long as it's suffering, it is something that we need to protect, whether it's others or mine. Just as I try to protect myself from the suffering, just as I try to relieve from the suffering of mine because it's a suffering and because it's something unbearable, because it's something you do not wish. In the same way, also one should try to protect others from their pain and sufferings because it's something they do not wish, just like ourselves, just like my suffering. It is because unbearable to them, just as it is unbearable to my suffering, unbearable to myself. Because it's a suffering, painful, therefore it is something suffering, painful, just as I do not wish and I try to protect, I try to relieve that same way. Therefore, since it's suffering, unbearable, unwishful, therefore, even if it's others, then whenever there is possible, when you are able, we have the ability to do that, try to protect and try to relieve of their suffering because it's suffering. And I should benefit others because they are sentient beings, just like myself. And again, we should try to protect them, release from suffering, and we should try to help them, benefit them whenever possible. Why? Because we try to help ourselves. We try to benefit ourselves whenever it's possible, able. We try to achieve happiness whenever possible. We try with all effort to have happiness and to accumulate or collect causes or things, external, internal things that we believe that can give you a happiness. That is why we are running our life whole life after one thing another. The reason why we're running is that we think if I can have all this and this, I will be happy. Or the belief that those can make me more happy. And therefore, because we want to be happy, and so we are chasing after things that we believe that can give us happiness, whether it's external, internal, and our life is all that. And so that is to bring more happiness, to help benefit ourselves in that way. In same way, then again, here is saying, and that because we want to be happy. And not only you want to be happy, you have right to be happy. And we have right to be happy and not to suffer. So here is the same way, in the same way, just like ourselves, also other sentient beings also have right to be happy and not to suffer. Not only you have right to be happy and not to suffer, but each and every sentient being have equally right to be happy and not to suffer. And therefore, since they want to be happy, and therefore, just as because you want to be happy, you try to help yourself to be happy in same way, whenever it's possible, try to help others to find happiness, to make them happy, to achieve happiness, because that is something they want. That is something because they wish, because that is something just like yourself, and that is something they have right to be just as it like yourself. So, contemplating and meditating that way, from so many different ways, from different reasoning, from different point of view, and the point we try all this different way of contemplating from different point, different way. The point is to reach to the same thing, that to feel that we all are equal and same. And therefore, we started to have concern equally for all sentient beings, just as you are concerned for yourself, so that we can feel, having a sense of care for all sentient beings equally, just as you have sense of caring for yourself. So that is the point, to reach to that point. So we do different meditation contemplation. The more you do it, the more it becomes more powerful, more stronger. The next one is, when both myself and others are similar in that we wish to be happy, we are the not only one who wish to be happy, but each and every sentient beings wish to be happy. If you observe from very small, tiny insect, why they are running around, if you look at ants, they are always running around, trying to bring food there, trying to make their home so that they can be protected from cold, heat, whatever, Why they do that? Because it is a clear sign they don't want any pain and sufferings. And they are trying to protect from that pain and sufferings. any kind of danger, any kind of pain, any kind of sufferings, and they are running and doing things so that they can, be more, find more happy and joy, even though they might not be able to fruit the language in that way, what happiness is and all definition and all that, but the sense of, wanting that. If you observe all of those insects, human beings, and others beings that we cannot see, everyone equally want to be happy. Not only everyone equally want to be happy just like yourself, everyone has a right to be happy just like yourself. If that's the case, then here's what is so special about me? Why do I strive only for my happiness alone? And so therefore, if that's the case, what is so special about me that way I totally ignore others' happiness and that I only think of my happiness and I put only effort for my own happiness and totally neglecting and ignoring other happiness. Through such practice, meditation, you try to feel it's not right, it's not correct. How can I be that? It doesn't feel right. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't correct. Forget about Dharma. Even we don't talk about the Bodhisattva practice in Dharma. Even in ordinary world, if you see there are many others drowning, and then you don't totally one person's, even they have the opportunity to help someone save, and they ignore and they become careless or negligent, and then even in ordinary they will say that person, how can that person be so selfish? How can that person be so selfish? So definitely then when we go on beyond even from that normal regardless whether you practice Dharma or not, whether you practice Bodhisattvas or not Bodhisattva's path, even from that point it becomes like that. So when we talk about someone who have inclinations and someone who have interests in the Bodhisattva path, then that will be even more strongly, So in that way, encouraging ourselves, training ourselves not to be, indifferent and neglect and others' pain and sufferings, or others' happiness, whenever there is possible opportunity, possibility, capacity for us to make someone more happy, we try to do that. Of course, sometimes even we want to do it, sometimes we don't have the capacity, the ability, the resources, and so forth. But even we don't have those resources and capacity, ability to make them happy, and we are unable to act, but at least we have that feeling, the concern, the compassion, sense of caring, that the feeling of wanting to help, feeling of wanting to help, wanting to make them happy, wanting to help them to be happy. So that is where it is. Similarly here, 96, and when both myself and others are similar in that we do not wish to suffer, not only we do not wish to suffer, we both have equal right not to suffer. It's not that we have right not to suffer and they don't have right not to suffer. Not only we both have equally, fundamentally the wish to not to suffer, but we all have right to not to suffer. So therefore, what is so special about me? Why do I protect myself and not others from the sufferings? So again, reminding ourselves is being a little bit more like critical of oneself. How can you be that? How can you be so selfish? How can you be so selfish that you totally ignore to protect from others' sufferings and only protect yourself from the sufferings? Of course, if you don't have the capacity, the ability to protect from others, that will be different things in terms of actions. But but at least you must have this thought, sense of concern, sense of care, the feeling that you want to help and protect them from their pain and suffering. Whether you are able to act or not, whether you have the capacity to act or not, but at least on this emotional level, at least on this mental level, that you have sense of empathy, sense of care, sense of concern, that having that wish to protect from someone from the pain and suffering, just as you want to protect yourself pain and suffering. And if we have the opportunity and capacity, then to be enact that to protect from sufferings, And so again, so these all are part of the training in relation to the first point, the sense of equalizing self with others, that we all want happiness and we do not want suffering. We all are equal, same that level. We all have the right to be happy and not to suffer. And therefore, we should treat everyone equally. Just as you treat yourself, you treat others equally. Just as you treat yourself to protect from suffering, you try to protect others from suffering equally. Just as you try to achieve happiness equally, you try to treat others to achieve happiness in the same way, equally. So that is the way. And then sometimes a thought could arise, again, another thought, obstacles from, yeah. So here again, this is counter to the thought that we had before. Well, other sufferings, I guess this one is more related with a little bit of, the misconceptions about the belief, that there is a permanent self, a person's, and therefore, that suffering, that you will suffering in the next life of this. So it is a mistaken conception to think that I shall experience the suffering of next life. No, I think I missed one. Yeah, okay, that is where. Next, verse 59. That is why. But why should I protect them? Again, another thought comes. Why should I protect them from suffering? Why should I help them to achieve happiness if their suffering does not cause me any harms? Again, this is a lot of thought that comes in our mind, That's why we cannot be equally caring, concerned for all sentient beings, because a lot of time we think, is there pain, is there suffering, is there problems? It's not my problems. is not my pains, is that, and so then again, the danger of being indifference. And that kind of thought lead to being of indifference to others, pain, sufferings, a danger of being, emotionless, kind of emotionless, becoming like a hard rock, not feeling others' pain and sufferings, and therefore danger of losing this incredible, wonderful inner quality of the empathy, the compassion, loving kindness, all of that, due to that kind of thought, or it doesn't harm me, hurt me, then why protect myself from future suffering if it caused me no harm now? So it is saying, even the other sufferings does not harm you or hurt you directly now, but it will hurt you or harm you indirectly in the futures. And therefore, even it doesn't hurt you or harm you directly and now, but since it will hurt and harm indirectly and in the futures, therefore, you should also try to protect. And so here, the reason giving is even the future sufferings, let's say, in the futures, because there's a fear of, not having enough wealth in the futures, therefore you might suffer because due to bad health, even you have good health now, the fear of having a bad health in the futures, therefore you try to save money to protect from that, try to go to the doctor, do all the checkup and all of that now. Those suffering are not really harming, hurting at the moment directly now. Does it? No. Because as a young, you don't have the many of the suffering that could manifest later, but because it could hurt and harm you in the futures, so you try to take all the precautions to protect you from any future suffering now. Even if it's not hurting you now directly, but there is possible of hurting, harming in the future, so you try to protect yourself from all futures harm, hurt. That's what we do, That's why a lot of people try to save of, not because they are in a bad condition now, but so they are fear and worried that things could get bad in the future. So they want to protect themselves, that kind of situation in the futures, even though situation is not here now and hurting, harming you. And so similarly, in that same way, even the other's pain, suffering is not hurting you directly now, but it could hurt you indirectly and in the future. Therefore, you should protect even the other's sufferings, even it doesn't hurt you or harm you directly now. And we can take examples, maybe some other example can be maybe helpful. There is a thief in your neighborhood, okay, someone's home, broke in someone's home, okay? Even though it didn't broke in your house, you didn't lose anything, and it didn't hurt you directly, but that kind of, if you don't help to protect that person's from others, then that thief could next strike it might be your home, So protecting the whole neighborhood is protecting not only others, protecting yourself. Even though you are not experiencing the harm directly yourself. And that is same even politically. You might not be the hurting, but that those most vulnerable are being hurt. And if you say, oh, it is not hurting me, I don't care, well, the next target might be you. They'll go other one, and once they go other that, then they can next target with another one. And that is what happened in the histories too. And we are seeing a little bit now, even in some situation, in some cases, some places, the target is one, and then other people think, oh, it is not for, they are targeting that, and it is not hurting me and that. And if you become careless, if you become indifference, and if you don't try to, if you don't try to help, to protect, when we have some ability to do that, then next target might be you, your families, your friends. And then, so if the harm is not coming directly to now, but it could come later. So protecting others is not only protecting others, it's also indirectly protecting yourself in some way of any possible of danger in the future, any possible of pain and suffering in the future. So that's that. You can take that as an example here. We cannot just ignore because it doesn't affect me directly now. Because that is one of the thought for us to not to act. Because that is one of the thought for us to become indifferent and not to have concern, and also not to act because of these thoughts. Well, it's not affecting me. It's not hurting me, harming me now. And so again, these are very practical that you can apply even in our everyday life. These are very wise thoughts, advices. Mm. I think it is also same, for someone who believes in many lifetimes, future life, we try to avoid engaging in negative karma so that we don't want to experience the result of that in the futures, and we try to engage in the virtues so that we can experience the result of that in the futures, and so forth. Again, even though the result of such virtues you are not experiencing directly now, but still, because we will be experiencing the futures, so therefore we try to take actions now. Even the suffering or our negative karma, even though we might not experience directly in this life, But since it will experience in future life, we try to avoid, So in the same way, even the suffering of others doesn't hurt you or harm you directly now, you should try to protect it because it could affect you in the futures, and same way, But, thinking that this permanent self will experience the result of my negative karma in the future is a misconception because there is no permanent self, because there's no permanent self. So the person who is experiencing the suffering in the future and person who is experiencing now, they are two different persons. It's the same continuity, but it's a two different. And so this idea that there's a permanent self that is creating negative karma now, and then that will experience the result of that in the futures, that is misconception because there's no such permanent self. But there's impermanent self, and therefore the person, if you create negative karma now, even though it is not same you in the future, but the continuity of you will experience that. So therefore, so therefore that's what it is saying. It's a mistake conception to think that I shall experience suffering of my next life, for is another person who dies and another that will be reborn, So it is, even though it's same continuity, but it's not the exact same persons. So therefore, believing that it is the same person because it's a permanent person, that concept is a mistaken concept. And then next one, surely whenever there is suffering, the sufferer must protect himself from it. But the suffering, okay. So if we think, is their suffering, therefore they should protect it, not me. Is my suffering, then I should protect myself, not them. If there is problem, is their suffering, they should protect it, not me. Again, such thought could arise. If such thought arises, to counter such thought, because when you have such thought, again, as we mentioned before, it stops you from having concerns, caring, and empathy towards others, and you become indifferent. So to counter that, then another way of thinking, contemplating, meditating is, but the sufferer of food is not that of hand. Why does that it protect it? So if you think of different part of the body, the hand is not feet, feet is not hand. They are different. But when there is a thorn or needle that prick in your leg, the hand will pull that. The hands help to reduce the suffering of the feet. Even though they are different in that way, externally, but they need to support each other. If there's a damage to the feet, the hand, like any part of our body, even though they are different, but there's connection, they are interconnected, interrelated. When one part is suffering, then the effect would fall in other part of the body. If I have something problem with my nerve in my feet, that could affect my eyesight. It could affect movement of my hand. It could affect some part of my brain and different things. Because they are interconnected, they are interrelated, they are not isolated. Even though each part of the body is different, but each part of this need to help each other, for the healthy of the whole body. In the same way, when we protect everyone's, then the whole families in a small families, or the family of this neighborhood, the family of this state, the family of this country, the family of this world. When you protect all of them, then everyone's experience joy and happiness, which include yourself. You know. On the other hand, if you don't care others, that can affect you, and that is what we see with climate, the effect of climate, the negative effect of climate all over the world, because some countries, even they have the resource to help in some country to protect them from those climate changes, they didn't, because they say it's their problem, it's not our problem. If the glacier is melting in that part of the world, if the snow is melting from that part of the world, it's their problem. If there's no more river running, it's their problem. It's not our problem. With that kind of attitude, even when you have resource to help, you didn't help. Now, due to all this glacier melting and all this snow, everything, now the effect is felt in other part of the world, whole world. Same with economic, same with health issues. When there is some pandemic in some part of the countries, other part of the countries, when other countries just watch and say, oh, it's their problem, it's not our problems. And then they started to spread. And eventually it reached where you are, and you wish, then you started to experience the result of that. You know? And same with economic. When there is a collapse in one part of the world economic, and if, as a whole country, if they support to help them from collapsing, then again, not only you protect and save that countries or that place, but you protect the whole world from collapsing, because that effect can be felt all over the world, ripples of that, and then everyone suffer, whole world suffer, because there's interconnection. They're interrelated. They are not totally isolated. It's just like different part of the body, same. And they say, there's no excuse to say, this is their problem, this is your problem, it's not my problem, therefore I shouldn't care about it, because it does have consequence and effect on you in long term, if not immediately later. And so again, you know, these are things that we try to contemplate, meditate, and especially using our recent experiences to, you know, in relation to this can be helpful. Okay? Okay, I think that is, we will have break. This is 1 hour break, yeah? And then we will see in 1 hour, continue, okay? Thank you, thank you. See you later.
Yes, thank you, Geshe.
Thank you, bye.
Thank you.
1 hour break. Thank you so much.